new, one of the things that you have new in your nail kit for this year is this mat. And it is a silicone based mat, okay? It's very floppy. As you notice, there's different designs of nail tips and the different shapes are on here, basic different shapes. There is a DIY palette when we do different nail arts and such. If you don't have this today, because you haven't gotten your kit yet, you can use your hand, your fingernails. If you don't have your fingernails done, you have nails, then you can use your finger and your nail tips, okay? And there's some on the counter as well. This here is your French brush, okay, for your French application. So, when you're working with this brush, you've got to protect the bristles. You got to protect the curvature of the bristles. That's what's going to give you your design. If you have it and you store it with the bristles down and the bristles get messed up, then it's not going to work well for you. So, make sure you take care of this. This is only for French applications, not for acrylic, not for gels, not for glitter, just for French, so it'll last you, okay? Don't forget to label your name on stuff because everybody has the same. All right, so we're going to start with our squirrel, which is one of the basic shapes. You have your polish remover. If you don't have a damping dish, you can work out of your polish remover bottle. Now, when you're pouring something, and I know the camera is right on top, but I'm going to see if I can angle this here. When you're pouring something, you can take the actual tube and put the neck of the bottle right up touching the tube, and so whenever you pour, the liquid will stick to the tube and go down into your container. Sometimes when you just kind of pour, it pours down to the other side and you make a mess. So that's one little tip and technique trick to learn, okay? If you don't have your damping dish, then you're just working off of your little pod here from your sheet. Now let me put a white paper here to counterbalance the camera up here. Okay, so your brush. If you don't have a brush, then you can use your orange wood stick lined with your cotton, so you have your Q-tip method, and use the flat side, okay? All right, whenever you're using your brush, okay, you want to dip your brush into the liquid. You're going to wipe off the belly, and then you can tap just on the corner of your towel. So that way it will absorb all of that liquid. When you're using your brush, just like when we learned whenever we did face painting, you want to make sure that you don't jam the brush down. You want to go back and forth on the belly of the brush. And if you're going to clean it, you can squeeze it with the napkin by folding over, and there you have it. Okay? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to shake not shake, but roll our polish. If you have white, that would be the best, and if not, a dark color. When you're practicing for your French, you want to make sure you have a dark color or the white, because the lighter colors kind of really don't work very well. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and swivel my brush here. I'm going to wipe not only on one, but on both sides of the belly of the brush. I want barely any polish on there. I'm going to come through and I'm going to polish either my fingernail or my mat or my nail tip. I'm going to polish as straight as I can, just one thin layer. Okay? If I'm doing my finger, then I'm coming in and I'm applying my polish, a super, super thin layer of polish. And you're like, well, I can't even see the color. It's okay. A big mistake that people make is that whenever they do come in and apply the polish on the French tip nail technique, what happens is that they have so much polish on their brush that it's like this bubble and ball of polish, and then that never dries. And so because it never dries, what happens is that as you go through the layers, when they go grab their keys or get in the car or whatever, they mess up their nails, and then it doesn't look, and it's bumpy. So you want barely, barely, barely any polish on your brush. The more straighter and smoother you do it, the better it's going to come out. But if you do it all crooked and bumpy, then of course it's not very good. Okay. one layer at a time. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your brush, dip it in, wipe the belly, and then you're gonna tap it on your napkin a little bit, just the belly, so it absorbs any crazy extra liquid. Then you're gonna come in and you're going to just side to side motion, okay? You just wanna shimmy your brush down. Now remember, we just saw the video on how it was made, how the nail polishes are made. They mentioned that the brushes were made to fit the fingernail. So if you learn how to work with your brush, it will do the work for you, okay? You do not necessarily have to work harder, you're just working smarter. So because of the brush, and if your brush is well taken care of, if you just do a side-to-side motion, it's going to give you just about the perfect technique. Okay. Now what you're going to do is you can go over and do a second coat. So try when you're doing your second coat to go over the same spot, even if you go a little bit out of line, it's fine. When you're doing your finger, the same thing, okay? Go over it as smooth as you can. The 3-stroke technique with this one would be best, just simply so that you don't get so many marks and lines. Okay? Yes, ma'am. How thick? It depends. It depends on the client. Some client, it's supposed to be thin. Like about my fingernails here, it's supposed to be thin. It's supposed to be just the tip edge of your nail. Now, if your client likes it thicker or thinner, that's depending on the client. So just ask your client and then you can go from there. And then show the client, okay, what do you think about this? And if they say yes, then your goal is to make all 10 fingers the same thickness, okay? So you can hold the brush with the finger pointing away from you, and you're just swirling your brush side to side and making that nice smile line like so. Or you can hold the finger pointing towards you, have your brush swivel side to side, and push down towards the tip or up towards the tip to thin it out if it's too thick. Same thing with your mat. If you just go over it, if you're doing the mat, if you're doing the fingertip, the nail tip, that's the same concept. Now, whenever you're doing side to side, what does happen is you do tend to pick up some of that polish. So you want to wipe your brush on your napkin or fold your napkin over your brush. Okay, just to remove that. You can dip it into your remover, go from there. Okay. That is how you do your French technique. We will continue to work on the French technique next week with the different shapes. So just keep that in mind. But what I like for you to do is to, if you have your hand available, do a set of 5 or a set of 10. You can use this time to do yourself, do each other, do your mat, or do your nail tips on your nail finger.